There we go. I felt him. Toop, 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 toop.
Precious quality.
He's got more size to him than the last one, huh? As long as it's not a pike. Oh, one. Oh, nice.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
That's why we're here, pal.
That's why we're here. Woo! Good job, Mark. There you go.
That's a beast.
There you go.
That is a beast. So that's what we're here for, right, Ken?
Absolutely, bud.
Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. What do you think that's got to be 5.5? 5?
Ooh,
5?
I'd say
4?
About 4.5, I would say.
You got a scale?
I do.
I do. But that's why we're here. I asked Ken to come out and teach me about how to throw a jig on Lake Geneva. We're going to talk all about that today. We're going to give you about 90% of Ken's secrets. We're not going to give them all to you, but we're going to give you some of them. Guys, stick around. Hopefully, this is the kind of day we're going to have. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher, and we are out on Lake Geneva, and I'm here with my buddy Ken Winston. Ken, thank you for taking me out today.
Absolutely.
I asked for you to teach me how to throw these jigs on Geneva. It's always been a technique that's kind of, I know that it wins money on Geneva.
Yep.
I know that there's there's just a lot of guys who swear by, if you don't know how to do this, chances are you're not going to be doing real well in turn. You can catch them on a drop shot and doing other things, and quite honestly, there's certain times a year when it's the thing to do.
Yeah.
And this may not be like the prime time to throw a jig, but we're still in that zone that you can catch it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
A jig is definitely a fall bait. I mean, we're early fall.
Yeah.
Right now, and it's a fall bait. Actually, I'll even go as far as to say, you'll catch them all year round with it.
Yeah.
Which is one of the best.
But I've just not been real proficient at it, and so you have been. So I asked you to take me out and teach me how to do it. So we're going to talk about that today in terms of the ins and outs, the bait. And by the way, these are going to be the baits that we're going to be talking about are your baits that you make, and we're going to talk a little bit about where to fish them and how to fish them and that kind of stuff. So right now we're just kind of, Lake Geneva is a very clear body of water, and so we're looking for pretty much weed edges right now.
Right.
This isn't something where, you can work a jig over a weed flat. You can.
Yes, you can. And one of the things that I do, as we talked earlier, these jigs that we're fishing right now are half-ounce jigs. And yes, this is at the end of the season. Its highest point, dying off. But there are times that the bass are a little deeper into the weeds. And typically people don't fish jigs, at least especially ones that we have like now without weed guards, into the weeds. I do. But I'll do that, and I'll do something a little bit different. I'll start throwing a 3/8 jig. And I do that so the jig does not fall nearly
and we should mention the jigs that we're throwing right now today are half-ounce jigs. Yeah. So again, this is just my thinking. I'm asking more than telling, but when we were throwing these over there where it was flat calm, I knew what I was going to do. You get a little this on the water, and I'm thinking, okay, we should be getting bit at this point. You know, if there's fish around, this would that flat calm is probably not conducive to this kind of bite.
No. Well, what the ripples do is gives them protection, and it's easier. Well, with this overcast, a clear day.
Yeah.
You are being seen.
Right.
But I agree with you. The wind does move bait fish and such.
All right, so I'm talking through this. My jig is on the bottom right now.
Yep.
And I would think that it was kind of... Oh, look at that! Holy cow! Oh!
It's the talking through it.
Oh!
It's the talk through it. I mean, that's...
I was catching guys like this on a drop shot. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be catching 4-pounders. Hey, it's a start. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we'll call it my first bass on a jig on Geneva, throwing the Ken Winston special. I don't know what we call it. It's the Ken Winston jig. So Ken, talk to me about the living rubber on Lake Geneva. Is my understanding is it's like a must. It's a
no.
It's not.
It's not. It's not a must. It's a preference, and it's a confidence thing, really, to be honest with you. But I think it's better. I honestly do.
Any reason why? Do you think?
I don't know why. I'd be lying to you if I said, yeah, it's because of this. I don't know why.
But if you talk to the guys who do well, you know, and I'm just naming name, you know, I mean, yeah,
you know, yeah.
they're all going, okay, that's the deal.
I agree. I think it is, but so I have a combination of living rubber and silicone. And you see that silicone that actually has the colored ones?
Oh, yeah.
So that silicone, that color is called Fry Chaser. It's called Fry Chaser. Well, if I did a whole thing of just Fry Chaser, or Fry Chaser and green pumpkin in silicone, that works out here.
Yeah.
And I've had days where Mike would outfish me with that. Well, so here's the thing with living rubber. Living rubber doesn't come in very many colors.
Yeah, right.
And if you want to add colors, now that's all living rubber.
Yeah. So Ken, I came out here today with you because I just have not been able to just wrap my head around what jig fishing is. You know, if I'm on Kentucky Lake, for example, and I'm throwing a jig on a ledge on Kentucky Lake.
Yes.
Well, what we're doing in that situation is we're throwing to the ledge. We're feeling the bottom with our jig, and it's like, oh, that's a shell bed. You can feel it tick, 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 tick. Right. You know, as it's going along there, and you know you're in the juice when you're feeling that shell bed. You know, with your jig. Here on Geneva, there's a lot of weed, and some of it's, you know, tall, and some of it's just on the bottom.
Right.
So the idea of crawling a jig along the bottom I never got it because I don't understand it, because you're constantly going to get, if you're just crawling that jig along the bottom, you're going to get fouled with weeds every time.
Correct. But we want to be in the weeds. We want to be in the edges of weeds, I should say. We don't want to be, in the thick of things.
But you're so like right now, what we're doing, and we've talked about this. We're in 46 feet of water, but we know that but halfway between us and those buoys that you can see, there's a drop off.
Correct.
It goes from about 19 feet and it drops off.
Right.
And we want to be in the weeds, as you said, right near that drop off.
Right. So,
I'm sorry, hang on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I am going to catch this bass, okay? And like in that situation, I was just kind of, I felt the weeds. I swam him up, and there he is. Just a decent, solid keeper there. Nothing special, but it was a good bass. And this is the homemade Winnie jig, we're calling it.
Yeah, we call it Winnie.
Made by Ken Winston.
Ken Winston. Hey, you know what? My brother and I our nicknames were Winnie growing up, so I just named it. But
so we're gonna call this the little Winnie or the Winnie.
The Winnie. So when we were talking about shell beds and everything and feeling the bottom and such, this is my custom jig, and one of the things that I actually did incorporate so you can actually feel the bottom, and there's a couple of things that this does, so you can actually feel the hard bottom a lot better, as well as, believe it or not, if you were to,
you can hear that.
You can hear that. So on the bottom, I believe one of the things that does as well, if a crayfish, when it runs across the bottom and everything, it actually has that kind of sound and everything. And instead of rattles, this is another way of emulating that. So it's one of the reasons why
kind of like
I've done it.
A hand grenade kind of a
exactly.
To it. Yeah.
Yes, and the head's a little wider and everything, and by doing that, you actually have a little bit more surface area that's touching the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, this is a combination of living rubber and silicone.
Mm-hmm.
Is what we got going.
We talked a little bit earlier about the living rubber. You just believe that's.
I'm a strong believer in living rubber. I mean, is it the end all be all? No. On Lake Geneva, I will tell you this: I love living rubber. That's all I throw primarily.
I think a lot of checks come from living rubber.
I would say so.
Let's get back to fishing, and we can talk more about it while we're fishing.
Sounds good.
So we talked yesterday about trailers. We're both throwing a chigger craw. Right. I think you are, right?
Yep.
Tell me what a trigger craw, in my opinion, is what I'm going to call a flapping kind of a trailer versus a rage craw that does more like a twisting kind of an action.
Right. More aggressive. Definitely a more aggressive action.
So more agile.
And more and when they're aggressive, they're willing to chase something that's agile, and easy to. I mean, not so much easy to go for, but something that. So in my view,
it's just not worth the
effort
on their part.
No, they're not going to make that kind of effort to go and chase something that looks very quick and agile.
Yeah. And we've talked about this on the channel, that a chunk bait trailer in cold front conditions in wintertime,
fall, and so on and so forth.
That's a much better bait to use, because it just, like you're saying, when the bass are lethargic, so's everything else in the ecosystem.
Everything, absolutely.
And so if you're swimming something that's really a bait that's acting very aggressive, it doesn't look natural in that lethargic system.
No.
And so that makes sense, and I guess the other part of this is that, and you can see those flapping claws right there, is that bait's, and I'm moving that pretty aggressively to get it to flap, but which is what would be happening if we were ripping that bait out of the weeds, right? Otherwise, it's just kind of flapping, and it's like on the fall, it's flapping as it's going down. There is no doubt. Yeah. We're not even going to be able to talk because we're just catching fish. Ken Winston's Guide Service here on Lake Geneva. That's a little better fish.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a little better. Look at the white belly on that guy.
Oh my gosh. Pretty
That's
fish.
a good fish.
That is a good fish.
I'm getting the hang of this.
I'd say so.
And again, I'm gonna say that this I get because what we're fishing is so pronounced.
Yes.
It's 19 feet. It drops down into deep water, and the weeds go right up to the edge. So all you have to do is like, okay, I know that I'm getting pretty close to where that 19. I don't know. Could be 5 yards in, 10 yards in. So I'm feeling for I'm letting it sink down the 19 feet, getting to the point where the weeds are there, and then I'm ripping it and letting it fall down again. It's at some point, it's going to fall into that clean edge.
Correct.
That's also on the place where the water depth is going down, which is where the fish are hanging out, and that's why I don't think it's that difficult. It's not like we're fishing a weed flat.
No, but they're ambush fish, and again, the reason why you talk about that break that you're talking about in the weeds end, but as the water gets deeper, less sunlight gets to the bottom, which then from that point on there's less weed growth, and then you get to a sweet point where there's no weeds, or there's very little weeds and lighter weeds. Well, very often, not all the time, but very often, they're ambushing and they're right at the edge of those weeds,
right,
waiting, looking for something to come by, and so on and so forth. So by ripping out of those weeds, sometimes what we want to do is
you're triggering.
Yes, you're triggering that bite, and by casting slightly into the weeds. Because and that's something I enjoy doing, is I'll throw that and it's in the weeds, and you're ripping it out of those weeds. But there are thousands.
Another good one.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
oh, yes, baby. There we go. There we go.
That's another good one. Ah.
That's a jigfish.
That's a Ken Winston jigfish right there. That's what we're looking for. Ken, I appreciate you taking me out today and teaching me how to do this. I would say I've figured it out, or I'm at least graduating kindergarten when it comes to jig fishing.
Oh well, that's a quality fish right there, bud.
That's a good one.
Beautiful.
Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to the channel, and Ken, thank you very much for taking us out. And guys, we'll see you again tomorrow on another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.